In today's episode of the Best of Raleigh, you are going to want to hear this because I am here with my very good friend, Lindzy Plott, who is responsible for my fabulous hair. If you like it, you will want to listen to this episode because she's going to give us all the dibs. I'm so excited to have this conversation with her today. She's the owner of In Tandem and West, a brand new salon that's just opened in downtown Cary. But she and I, we've been together for a long time, just under 10 years, right? The better part of a decade, I guess. Yep. So Lindzy, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to the Best of Raleigh with your host and real estate expert, Gretchen Coley, owner of the Coley Group. This show is all about the people and places that make the Raleigh area so special. Here's your host, Gretchen Coley.
So tell me a little bit about, or tell the viewers a little bit about you and how you arrived here.
Oh, well, it's been a journey, as I feel like for most people, it usually is. I'm from North Carolina, love this great state. I actually thought I wanted to be a nurse, and nurses are amazing, and it's because they're so amazing that I realized that it was not meant for me, because it should be meant for people that it is meant for. But I still love the connection with people and taking care of them, and hairdressing is a way to do that.
How did you figure out that you liked being a hairdresser? Like, how do you go from wanting to be a nurse to doing people's hair? That's a pretty creative thing.
Absolutely. So my very first job ever, actually, I was 14 years old. I was a receptionist at a hair salon. Saturdays, I was always there. I actually was cutting people's hair in college. My best friend, Ashley, very sorry for the haircuts that you probably got in the bathroom of our dorm room. But it was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. And I just never really thought about being a hairdresser. It was always, you go to college, you get this 4-year degree, which is amazing. And I still did that. But I just, one day I was getting my own hair done, wasn't super loving nursing school, might've been wrong place, wrong time. And then kind of had this, as cliche as it sounds, a light bulb go off, and I just really wanted to be a hairdresser.
Wow.
I even, funny enough, because I thought I was kind of nutso for going this route of being a nurse and wanting to be a hairdresser, that I started actually going to therapy because I felt like I needed someone to talk me out of making this big life change at 23. And no, she kind of helped me realize that I was on a path that I thought everybody else wanted me to be on instead of the one I wanted for myself.
I don't think I knew that story.
Yeah.
And there are so many parts of that. Like, I think that is such a cliche in our world, right? Yeah. Where we, especially as women, do what we think we are supposed to do.
Agreed.
But you and I are both believers that following your passion and doing something that you love as a job is the best way to never work a day in your life.
100%.
And you're one of the hardest working people I know, but to think that you felt like you needed to go to therapy to figure out like how to do what you love to do is kind of a wild thing.
It is. Yeah. And I mean, and it was also like, around the 2007, 2008 time frame, when the world was doing some crazy stuff. And when I started telling friends and family that I was going to quit nursing school at Chapel Hill and become a hairdresser, I mean, they looked at me like I had 3 heads because I was leaving a secure profession and going into, you're going to be a hairdresser. And, for those who know me, I don't half-ass anything. So I knew that if I was going to make this jump, I was going to make it amazing. Just because, I'm a workaholic, love what I do. If I go it, I'm going to do it to the 10th degree. But I had to fight for myself and I didn't really know how to do that.
That's a hard thing to do, to leave a career path that is recession proof.
Right.
Everybody needs nurses no matter what the economy is like.
100%.
To go into basically a 1099, no salary position, and have to build a book of business, that's not for the faint of heart.
No, it isn't. But it is interesting because, being a hairdresser and a service provider, and I think that experiencing COVID and the lockdown, and I'm, with social media, and you see everybody talking about the things that they miss the most. I'm sure that people can go back to that time in their mind and see people missing having their hair done, having their nails done, going to their chiropractors, going to their massage therapists. And I remember actually posting this meme of from Leonardo DiCaprio from The Great Gatsby cheersing, saying, and just like that, no one will ever call us just a hairdresser ever again.
Never.
Never.
Never. I was dying at my house. Remember all those phone calls and the text messages? I'm like, when can you get out? When can you get out? It was almost like making like a drug deal or something. I was like, I've got cash. When can you come to my house? I cannot do this anymore. While everybody else was going gray, and I have a lot of gray hair, I was like, there is no way. When can you get out? It was like we were both in prison or something.
Yes.
But you're right. There was definitely an evolution at that time. So when I started working with you, because I want to talk about your evolution, it has been a beautiful thing to watch. I feel like you and I have grown parallel businesses together because we've really supported each other through growth. And I think all you girls out there, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business owner, you have to have a tribe of women around you who are your running buddies, who are doing the same things. And you are definitely one of mine. When I started working with you, you were working at a salon in Briar Creek. And I had worked with somebody else and had come over to you for color or something. And the moment you put your hands in my hair, I was like, I'm never leaving her. This is my girl, because you're just so kind. And
thank you.
For us in real estate, going into someone's home, like you sit down at the table, they sign some paperwork, they give you a key to their house. It's a very intimate thing.
100%.
Hair is the same way.
Oh, for sure.
You're touching our hair. You're really helping us to feel our most beautiful, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And so you went from working in Briar Creek to renting your own little space in Solo Salons in McGregor, which I loved, and I watched that grow. And now you've opened this incredible brand new space in a brand new building in downtown Cary. How does that feel?
It feels amazing, but I'll be honest, sometimes I still have to pinch myself. I feel like I almost have imposter syndrome sometimes, that I walk in this beautiful space that I affectionately call my third child, and realize that I created this space with some incredible individuals, and I can't thank my husband enough for supporting me along the way too, because you have to have a tribe of people.
You have to have support.
You have to have people. I mean, how many times were we texting each other and me going, is this right? Should I do this? I don't know how I feel about that. Should I make this decision? You can be strong and have an entrepreneurial spirit and be so sure of yourself, and then still at the end of the day, question. And I think the questioning is actually where a lot of growth lies, and that we shouldn't be afraid of that part. So
no, I've always believed that if it feels scary, you should totally do it.
Yeah.
So every time she would text me, I would be like, yes, do it, go.
Yes.
And then we kind of had this awkward moment where she ran through her numbers for build out, and I had just built out an office, and I was like, Lindzy, it's never going to happen that way.
I know.
It's going to be double what you think it is. And it was very easily, but it is beautiful.
Yes.
So it's called In Tandem and West. Where did the name come from?
Oh, so that's a funny story. So in Tandem, so my studio at McGregor was actually called In Tandem Salon. So that's kind of my business entity as a hairstylist. And I was actually going through the dictionary trying to figure out a name for my solo studio. And I was, in the B's, for example, and got to the word bespoke. And I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. It means curated.
Overused.
Yeah, my husband said the same thing. And then I got to the T's and I saw the word tandem. I'm like, well, that's a cool name. And then you see that that's tandem bicycles. But right underneath it, where it said in tandem, the definition is alongside one another and together. And it just clicked for me, because that is generally how I approach not only hairdressing from a stylist to a client relationship, but also from a stylist to a colleague relationship. Like, I believe in us working alongside one another and together to do whatever it is that we want to do. It's not me and you or us and them. It's together. And well, I guess that is us, but it's together. And I thought it was just perfect.
I think that's gorgeous. I think that's a beautiful synopsis of the name, because I always wondered why the name. I thought it was a little strange, but now I completely understand it.
You're not the only one.
We all have our things, right?
Yeah.
But you can't grow a business like you've grown without giving people exceptional service along the way.
100%.
So let's talk about that, because she's not just a stylist, right? She is somebody I can text on Sunday and be like, I'm having this issue, da da da. We're more like friends, but she has to book my appointments for me a year out. So everybody who's listening, if that's not your thing, it's probably not going to work out well, but she's got a couple other girls in the salon that can probably help you.
They're wonderful.
But they're appointments that I do not miss unless something is crazy. But that is a level of service that you don't typically get. And I like that. Like, I like having everything laid out for me for the year, right?
Absolutely. And, and like you said, for some people that doesn't really support their life. And there are certain times where we have to adjust, based on what's going on with our kids and so on and so forth. But I definitely, I view it as this whole sort of journey as a relationship between me, you, and your hair. And relationships, while boundaries are very healthy with them, it's still a relationship. And we are going down that road of growth together. And we certainly have.
And I think that is the key to your success, because, at the Coley Group, we really try to make sure that we provide our clients with an exceptional level of service and an exceptional experience. And
100%.
Even before COVID, getting your hair done is an experience. For me, it's not something I want to go do and sit with someone for 2 or 3 hours if the space isn't comfortable, if the vibe isn't right, if the stylist is not kind and nice and trustworthy and fun. And so you have a great knack of making it, even when you're in this little one room place all by yourself, you have a knack of making it an experience from the moment you walk in until the moment you walk out.
Thank you. That is my goal, and that's the cool thing also about our profession is that, there's all kinds of experiences that stylists can create for what they want to present. And then that clientele flocks to the experience that they're presenting and that they're creating. And it's just such a cool profession, because there's no right way to do it or wrong way to do it. It's your way to do it. And there are people who flock to you and flock to your way. And, it's really cool.
We can't do all of this without talking about hair. So let's talk about hair.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite services to provide?
Great question. I really love kind of the full package. There are a lot of hairdressers, and I understand this completely, that, like to focus on color, or like to focus on cutting, or like to focus on extensions. For me personally, I like to be able to address all of those, because I like to be able to understand how they all work together. But with extensions, that's kind of a big one that's different. It's a passion of mine, because there's so many people out there who struggle with hair loss due to illness, or due to genetics, or they never
hormones.
Yes, they've never had thick hair, just because of that's how it is. And there's really wonderful methods out there to help you achieve the look that you've wanted, or you had and then lost. And so it's really interesting how hair can really help shape someone's personal identity, and I get to help with that.
Well, that's why you and I are together, because my hair is a part of who I am. It is a piece of my identity.
Yep.
I cut my hair.
It's your brand image too.
It's my brand image now, which means I can't stop doing it. So anyway, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But I cut my hair once, and I felt like my strength was gone. And I so admire women who can do short haircuts, pixie cuts. I wish I could do that, but I tried it, and I cut it to about here, and it was like it was my security, right? And I felt just very exposed without it. Grew it back out. That was when I was in my 20s. Grew it back out, and I have never cut my hair again. I've toyed around with a bob, which most people talk me out of. But as we age, and I am, I used to have this beautiful mane of hair, and it was, really thick, really shiny, and then it started to turn gray, and I started to turn gray really early. I'm probably 95% gray now. This is more than y'all probably want to know, but it's important to me to feel youthful and vibrant, and to me, this hair helps with that. And so, I started getting extensions years ago because I did some color to my hair to try to cover the gray up. So I decided I'm going to go blonde. Well, that was a huge mistake for a lot of reasons. One of which, it killed my hair. And so I started with extensions to just kind of allow my hair to grow, which it did. And I have very healthy long hair, but now with hormones, it's just not as thick as it used to be. And I just really like a thick edge. And so for me, extensions have been a really great thing. And now they're a part of my brand. So because I've got 8 years of photographs for the Coley Group, if I cut my hair or change my hair, I can't use all those photos anymore. So so I've told everyone around me that it's now a part of the brand, and I have to continue to keep this up.
It's here to stay.
It's here to stay forever. So what types of extensions are you doing now?
I offer my kind of bread and butter. The things that I like to do the most are actually hand-tied extensions. There are lots of wonderful methods out there, and hairdressers can talk to you about why they choose different ones. But mine specifically is the hand-tied method because I like the movability. I like the flexibility. I'm sure you could agree after we moved you from the tape extensions to these that having it kind of centralized to one section of the head shape allows for a lot more, you can have your hands in your hair and you don't feel it as much, which is really great.
You put your hair up.
Yeah, the other ones are a little difficult. And I still can do tape-in or adhesive extensions for kind of spot treatments. They're really wonderful for that. But for what we have been doing for you, where you want to fill in your hair or create length and volume, the hand-tied method is amazing.
And I love them. And you actually did a new one on me this time that's very thin. It's it feels very good on my head, and I really love it. And I love the aspect that you do everything. Like, it is nice to go into her salon, sit down with her, and she does every piece of it. So she does the color, she does the cut, and the extensions, and that's nice because I don't feel like I'm kind of getting shuffled around.
Sure.
And she allows me to work while I'm in there. So literally, I sit down in the chair, we do some small talk, I open my computer, and I always tease her. I'm like, I do the most business sitting in this chair. If I just had kept a record of the numbers of how much business I do in her chair, I'm super productive in there. So
you are very productive.
That's another plus.
Yes.
So what do you have coming up fun at the salon? I know you got a big event coming up.
I do. Next Friday, we are having our grand opening event, even though we've been open for almost 6 months, but took a minute to get settled. So, and our ribbon cutting. So I'm very excited about that.
That's going to be fun.
I know.
Now tell everyone where you are exactly.
Yeah. So we are in downtown Cary, right kind of within that bubble of the new amazing park. There's kind of like, 4 sort of main streets that encompass the park, and we are on one of those. We're on Chatham Street in a new building called the Rogers Building. There's a lot of other great retail stores. There's a wonderful new restaurant.
Yes.
There's great office space. It's just such a great community, which is really inevitably why my husband and I chose that space for this next adventure, because we love a downtown area, but we also wanted it to still feel kind of quaint and cozy. And I feel like downtown Cary is doing such a great job, even with all of its really grand development. It's still keeping this element of charm, which is not easy to do. And I really have to give some kudos to all the developers out there, because they're doing a really great job.
They're doing a great job.
Yes.
So as far as the salon itself, you have a few other stylists.
Yes.
Tell us about them and how they can get in touch.
100%. So our business model is, people have probably heard about, you have commission style salons, you have booth rental salons. We are, in essence, an independent stylist based salon. So, we'll do the traditional term booth rental. But it is a little bit different in that we have kind of created a different environment where I'm trying to actually figure out the term for this the best, but we'll say like concierge sort of salon service.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, I like that. Where as a salon, we house all of the hair color, all of the extensions, everything that you would need to be a successful business owner. But we've kind of we help manage that process, and you actually only pay for exactly what you use, which I think is one of those elements when we went out on our own, that you don't really know how much money you have sitting on the shelf when you have to put all that out there yourself. And so I wanted to kind of find a way that I could still support small business owners, support independent stylists so that they could still be on their own, make their decisions, support their life, create their boundaries, but, be supported at the same time. So kind of take the best of what commission salons do have to offer, then take what booth rental salons have to offer and marry them together.
I think that's beautiful. And I want to touch on one more thing before we tell everybody how to find you.
Yes.
You love pouring into your stylist, especially
so.
to women. And I watch you over the last decade and how you speak to them and how you coach them and how they ask you questions. And you really enjoy the mentorship piece to this. So if they're working around Lindzy, they are getting some of the Lindzy juju.
They are. And actually, all of the stylists that are in the salon now, we have all worked together for almost a decade. And so I've trained them to some degree. They've trained me to some degree. And so I kind of like this collaborative, supportive environment that now that we're all in an open space versus individual rooms, though, as you know, even though we were all in individual rooms at Sola, we were all in each other's rooms all the time. So, this is kind of a way where we could remove some of those walls, be in a nice grand space with 18-foot ceilings and lots of windows that is so nice, and support each other. It's amazing.
So where can everybody find you? How do they book an appointment?
Yes, so the best place actually is going to be at our website in tandemwest.com. And if you go to our designers page, you're going to see everyone there. And on each individual designers page, they are going to have contact information for them. Because since everyone's independent, we've all got different pricing structures. We have different service menus. We've got, different Instagram pages, all of those types of things. There's also even forums there on how you can get in touch with them if you're a more of a digital kind of techie person who do it at 2 o'clock in the morning like myself, because that's when I have a minute, that you can fill out to try to get to them as well.
Well, thank you so much for coming
Yes,
on.
thank you
And
for
I'm
having me.
so excited to have you here. One last question.
Please.
Why Carrie? Why have you chosen here?
Well, I live there, and I wanted to pour more into the community that has poured into me and helped me create a home for my children and my family. And I also just really love the community that downtown Cary is trying to foster amongst other business owners. There's a lot of women business owners that are coming to, that are already in downtown Cary, that are coming to downtown Cary. And I just really love the supportive, encouraging nature of the community.
I love that.
Me too.
That's exactly what Cary in Raleigh is. And obviously,
100%.
Lindzy and I love the greater Raleigh area. We
do.
love calling it home. And if you are out there looking for someone to do a fabulous hairstyle for you and to give you a great experience at the same time, you should definitely reach out. We would love to help you if you are considering a move to this area. We want to be your go-to concierge level service. So feel free to reach out to us. We're going to link all the contact details below. Thank you so much for joining us in the Best of Raleigh. You can expect a new episode every Friday on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. We'll love to see you there. See you in the next Best of Raleigh.